Hello and welcome to Sunday's video. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Wendy, and on this channel we typically do Bible studies, Bible study reviews, theology, cultural commentary, you name it, it's probably going to get done on this channel if it has to do with you living your Christian life. Today's video is actually a user requested video. Someone wanted to know what is in my Bible study basket. So we're going to go through what's in my Bible study basket, why it's there, how that's different from my Bible tote bag, and, just answer any questions I think I've seen in the comments. So let's get into it. First of all, this nice woven basket came from Target. And as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit to carry it. This is not a basket I mean to carry up and down stairs. This is simply a basket to keep things, to keep my materials organized on this table. It may move from one table to another, but it's not meant to be carried up and down because I've got some pretty thick resources and pretty heavy resources in this basket. So let's go through them. First, and some of these are going to be different than the last photo you saw where Mr. Cat was guarding the basket, because I've replaced and added a couple of things in there since then. So these items are mainly for my seminary studies, which is different than my Bible tote bag, which is typically for my personal study. And you can see that in a different video. So we will start with, in no particular order, the Hosanna Revival prayer journal. So this says on the cover, "He who promised is faithful." And this is hardcover. I'm not sure what the material is, but basically it's a 5-year prayer journal. And so how it's laid out is each day has its own spread, but there's 5 entries so that you can go back and see what you prayed for a year ago on that particular day as you fill it out the next year. It's got 1 ribbon marker, and again, this is Hosanna Revival. This is 5 years of prayer. It is the Edinburgh edition. They have multiple editions, so you can check that out on their site. I will link this in the description box. So that is the first thing that's in there, and is a new addition to my Bible basket. Second thing that's in here, right behind it, is my handbook of the Pentateuch. Now, because that is what I'm currently going through in seminary right now, I keep this. This is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. If you did not know, the Pentateuch are the first 5 books of the Old Testament, the first 5 books of the Bible, sometimes also referred to as the books of Moses or the Mosaic Law. So this is one of my required texts for seminary. At Liberty, they do give me access to electronic textbooks. I, however, think that if there's a resource that they're going to give me electronically for free that I'm probably going to reference over and over again, then I just go ahead and find it on Amazon and buy the hard copy. This is another book for my studies. This is an introduction to the Old Testament. Again, this is something I got from Amazon, and again, all of these are linked somewhere in my description if you want to pick up a copy of your own. This is not required for my seminary studies, but it is helpful for understanding what's going on in the Old Testament, especially if you go to a church that doesn't preach on the Old Testament very often. I know that, Mr. Cat's here. Hello, Mr. Cat. Let's see how long he stays. So I know that for some people and even for some pastors, it can be hard to understand New Testament themes within the Old Testament. So I think that having a couple of books to help you with the Old Testament is helpful, especially when you're studying on your own. So with that in mind, if you want to pick up a commentary, this is the commentary that I'm using right now, the Bible Knowledge Commentary. This is the Old Testament edition. This is a 2-volume set. The New Testament edition is actually over in my Bible tote bag. And that is because in my church, we are going through the book of Acts all year long. But there are some other things that I want to read in the New Testament, so I just keep the New Testament volume over in the Bible tote bag. I also have the Holman Illustrated Bible Dictionary, which you've seen in a lot of my videos. I'm not going to really do a deep dive into it because I've done that in other videos. So check out my Bible study playlist, and I will link to that at the end of this video. But this is a hefty resource. It's very nice. It works just like a dictionary. It's also got images and maps and photos, things like that. So it's a very handy reference. I have a composition book that I got from Target. This is where I started to keep my Old Testament notes before I got the Bible that I'm going to show you. So when I was studying the Old Testament a couple of months ago, I started keeping notes in this composition book. So I'm keeping it over here just so that I know what else is going on, or what I already took notes on. And speaking of, this is the Bible that I'm currently using for seminary. This is one volume of the 5-volume set of the ESV, or English Standard Version. Oh, Mr. Cat wants to see it too. This is the English Standard Version spiral bound journaling Bible. And if you haven't seen the review, just so you know what it looks like on the inside, right? And we are going through the Old Testament in the Patreon group. If you want to join us, it's not too late. And so basically what I've been doing is taking my notes in the journaling section, circling words that I want to further define, and just making as many notes as I feel are necessary in this particular version of the Bible. So, a couple more things in my tote. I have 30 Days to Genesis. This is a devotional commentary. I haven't opened this yet, so I haven't used it, so I cannot speak to whether or not it's good. I have it because it's required for school. So when I get to this, we'll talk about it more in my Patreon group. If I think that a whole video needs to be done on this, then I will. But again, I really don't know anything about this, just that it was required for school. And then we have my dot grid journal that's got the elastic thing to help keep it shut, and it's got a pen loop. But yeah, it's just a regular blank dot grid journal. I'll actually show you where I started to do some verse mapping, but I didn't like the way that I had set it out. So I'm gonna do this again. This was me doing John 10:10, which we will be doing on this channel as soon as I figure out how I want to use this journal. And then the last thing in the basket is this book for my Hebrew language tools class on elementary biblical Hebrew. So this is an introduction to the language and its history. This is not meant to make me a Hebrew scholar. This is simply coursework required in my degree program so that I can better understand what's going on in the Old Testament text. And so this particular book is written by Chet Rode, I think that's how you say his last name, who holds a PhD in Biblical Studies and the Old Testament from Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary. And he is an online professor of the Old Testament and Hebrew with Liberty University, which is where I go to school, so that explains why I'm using his book. Not the first time in my college career I've used a book written by the professor. So that is what's in the Bible tote. As for pens, I have this clear acrylic pencil cup that I got from Amazon, and I've got in here a Diversity ballpoint pen. I've got some Mr. Pen ballpoint pens. I believe all of these write in black ink. Then I've got some Mr. Pen highlighters. You can see that. And then I've got a Sharpie in here, a random Sharpie. So that is it for my Bible study, for my school tote. We'll call it that. We'll call it my school tote. What Wendy uses to study the Old Testament currently in school. So that's what a seminary set of things looks like. I may take the prayer journal and move it over to the Bible tote bag because that's more for personal things rather than seminary things. But that's what I got. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this appearance by Mr. Cat. And yeah, stay tuned. Click or tap the screen for the next video. YouTube is recommending a good video for you to watch next. Let me know in the comments if it was a good suggestion. And by the way, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so that you always know when there's a good video. Or I hope they're good. When you know that the next video drops. Thank you so much for your love and support on this channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.